What if you used your impressions of people you know as NPCs in your world? What if you did impressions of all of your players as NPCs in your world? You're playing characters in my world, I'm gonna play you. When you're creating your game world, think, what fairy tales do these people grow up hearing? Make up the fairy tales that belong in this world, and you can weave them into your game at many different levels. The background of an adventure the players go on, the background of a location the players go to, something that actually happens to the players or causes them to have to go on a quest, or it could just be a casual story being told by some NPC at a fair or a tavern. Don't underestimate the power of casual storytelling to round out your world. Substitute travel scenes for descriptions. When people hear that they're going to go to a certain location to look for a certain thing, bam, they're there. Don't cut right to the action, give them a juicy description of what this place looks like, how they felt as they came up on it, the first thing they see, the next thing they see. That way you get the quick cut, but they don't feel, what's the metaphor when you feel like you've been just pushed out in front of the spotlight and you're expected to perform all of a sudden and you didn't prepare.
Stage fright?
It's not stage fright, it would be like you feel put upon. So your players don't feel put upon. Another way to tighten up the pacing in your game, do like Danger 5 does it. If you haven't seen that, it's a wonderful show. As soon as your players realize what's going to happen next, have that thing happen. They realize the whole thing was a trap, bad guys appear with guns. Don't give them time to think about it like, oh, it's a trap, guys, we gotta come up with a plan, and then you spend the next 45 minutes finding ways to shoot down their plans because you had a cool confrontation scene planned. Just don't give them the opportunity. Make your plot twist, immediately change the direction of the story. This is a trap, we're trapped. What if there's some race that's known everywhere for one thing? Juggling. Just innately good at it. Like, because they're octopus people or fawns. But if the PCs ever visit their kingdom, they find out that only the second or third and fourth rate jugglers ever go out into the wide world. And in their homeland, the professionals do juggling like you've never even imagined. What if there was this magical puzzle that was a series of concentric spheres and each one has a pinhole in it? They're like magnetically spaced so they don't scrape on each other. Each one is free rotating. And you must rotate your sphere so that the pinhole in the sphere underneath aligns with the outermost pinhole, and so on down to the core. It's like the world's hardest combination lock. But then it gets even weirder because when you align the first one, you drop down through the pinhole into a magically contained subspace mini-dimension on the surface of the next sphere. And then you have to find the puzzle ball again in that world, which is one sphere thinner now, and solve it again. Do that as a way of facing more whimsical or thematic challenges than your game world would realistically be able to support. Like, we're gonna face all of your worst fears, or like there's one for each of the 7 vices to bring some deeper role play into your campaign, or it could be an entire campaign. What if there's this character who is the burly, virtuous, young, handsome chieftain of the leopard men who live in the rainforest around the outskirts of the Aztecian El Dorado city? Because of course there's leopard men, and the Aztec evil vizier has taken the fiance to turn her into a magical siren. She already had the best voice in the jungle, and then he kidnapped her and put a spell on her to turn her voice into a magic mind control voice. But she's under his control. And then you meet the chieftain out there, and he tells you this story and says, I would go after them and I would die fighting for her, but I have my people to think of. But now that you're here, you being PCs who have magic beyond my imagining, I will ally with you to have a chance to get my bride back. Here's a tip on making your campaign short enough to get through it. I don't have a tip. Every campaign I've ever run or been a part of has taken way longer than we thought. So my tip is that is a thing worth figuring out.